Welcome into Rounding the Bases.
Round the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.
Hey, everybody, welcome into another episode of Rounding the Bases, presented by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. As always, a shout out to my friends here in Kansas City. And by the way, you don't have to be in Kansas City. My guest today is not. But if you are in the hunt for a job, or you're looking to hire someone, or you're just looking for a really good, honest, down-to-earth, real resource, check them out. There's a reason why I collaborate and partner with them on so much. We just believe in people. We believe in culture. That's why you'll see videos with me and their president, Casey Wright, every month in our newsletter and up on YouTube. chiefofstaffkc.com, making connections that matter. Almost all of my guests on this podcast come from a connection somewhere. Sometimes it's someone I meet. Sometimes it's someone that's introduced to me by others. Today's guest introduced to me by Damon Lemby, who was a great guest on this show, but then also someone that has connected me with so many other people. And that's really been great. It's the way we expand our networks. It's the way that we meet interesting people that we may never have met otherwise. Today, I'm joined by a renowned guest who sparked a radically counterculture sales movement just by being himself. His name is Larry Levine, a two-time best-selling author, award-winning podcast host, and co-founder of Selling from the Heart. It's the company teams across the globe turn to when they want to win with authenticity and trust, two of my favorite words. Because while sales may be good, relationships are better. And in a digitally driven world, letting your human side show is the best way to earn them. My goodness, this is everything that I believe in a nutshell. And so I am very happy right now to be joined by Larry Levine. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Hey, great music. That got me fired up.
Yeah, I love it. It's a artist by the name of A.Y. Young. I haven't talked to him in years, but he's been traveling the world, saving the world and doing all these things. But way back when he said, I'm gonna come up with a theme song for you. And so, for years as my kids were getting older, they'd be walking around the house singing "Everybody Knows Joel Goldberg." Like, all right, enough already. It pops in the head. Then then it's there too long, and you have to apologize because, gosh, I don't want people waking up with that in their heads. Anyway, I'll tell you what, I'm so excited for this conversation. Not just the energy that you have, and you and I were able to connect, a bunch of weeks back virtually. And I'm a firm believer. If Damon says you need to meet someone, I know you believe the same thing. Just good people lead to good people. But selling's hard. Selling is really hard. But being authentic is not. And I think sometimes we so often get in the way of that part by trying so hard or wanting it so badly that we forget the part about being real and authentic. And to me, as a speaker, my number one topic is trust. As a baseball broadcaster, when people want to ask, what was the game like? Or how was, that was great, or this is a tough losing streak, or this or that. Yeah, sure, but I'm not a normal fan. This is work. It's the greatest work. What the business that I'm in, Larry, is the people business. It's no different with our players, our coaches, our trainers, or anyone for that matter, broadcasters, other teams, than it is for you walking in on a sales call back in your old sales years. So tell me about that, because it feels to me like since the beginning of time, that authenticity piece has not always, that authenticity piece can oftentimes be overlooked.
Of course. And I've always said this, Joel, authenticity is a lifestyle. It's not a light switch. We're all authentic human beings. And I'm not going to give you a collegiate level, PhD level version of authenticity. There's enough of that out there. You can Google it and you can find out. It's just very simplistic. It's just about how we show up. Now, whether you're in sales, whether you're an executive, whether you're out in the community, people want a genuine, human, authentic person to engage with, who's deeply rooted in knowing themselves. And here's what's interesting. Now, I'm gonna deliver this through a sales-centric lens for a moment, but I think you're gonna get this. Is in sales and in business, you're in the people business and you're in the relationship building business. Two things that get overlooked because we assume as humans We understand the people side and relationship building side, but I'm here to say that requires work because relationships are messy, humans are messy, and it requires us to do something that many find difficult. That's bringing our real, authentic self to the conversation. And I learned this the hard way selling copiers in Los Angeles for decades, Joel.
Well, listen, and there are a few products I guess you could fill in the blank, but copiers would be one of them. You're a copy sales guy? You know, I feel like a lot of my friends in insurance, oh, you're another one of those insurance guys. I don't mean to be demeaning to insurance. I
Sure.
speak to a lot of insurance groups, but you know what? Or another banker, you know, another financial advisor. There are a million of them out there. So how do you become the greatest, you know, salesman of copy machines? How do you become the top guy in insurance? How do you become different than the next financial planner? How do you, by the way, unless you are, say, Bob Costas or you know, someone at that level, Vin Scully, you know, Dodger fan, those are unicorns. The rest of us, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you become the greatest salesman in whatever you're selling? It's everything that you're talking about, right? I mean, that's it. It doesn't fill in the blank whether it's copy machines or not.
No, 100%. I've always said this: to know thyself is to value thyself. It requires going inside. And I got to tell you and everyone who's listening and watching, when I was in the Office Technology Channel for almost 30 years, and still to this day, I don't know how a copier works. It really, you know, it wasn't the point that I didn't care about how it worked. There was things that were much more important than how it worked, and that was the people that were sitting in front of me. So instead of shining the light on me, I shine the light on them.
Yep.
And I believe this wholeheartedly. I believe everybody's got a secret sauce, something that makes them unique, right? You mentioned Bob Costas and you mentioned Vin Scully, legends in the broadcasting space. They had their secret sauce that made them who they are. Mine is I can connect and relate to people pretty easily, pretty quickly, because I don't make it about me. I never have. I always made it about them. And I inserted a word in here that I think a lot of people forget. And that word's comfortable. And I'll use you as an example, Joel. And this always weighs on my head and it weighs on my heart. Is I will say this: the more comfortable I make Joel feel about me, the more comfortable Joel becomes. The more comfortable Joel becomes, the sooner he starts sharing what I call business secrets. Now, it may not be business setting. It could be personal things, but we got to key in on that. We're in the people business and relationship building business. We got to get back to that.
How can I add value to you if I don't know what you're looking for or who you are or what you believe in or what's of interest or what's bothering you?
Yeah, it's just, I learned this, you use the word trust. Trust is deeply woven in selling from the heart. People are holding things close to them. They don't want to let that go until they know you see them, you value them, you're listening to me, and you get me. Once that's the sixth sense that people have. We just got to become more cognizant as people who are engaging with other people. We got to become really cognizant about how fast we can connect, how fast we can relate. And I'm a big believer in this, and I'll demystify the myth on this. Trust doesn't take time to build. I think it happens from the very first interaction with somebody.
Yeah. You can build it quickly. Sometimes you have to build it long-term, but it's not like, okay, on day 1,000, that's where it starts, right? No. That's the end result, so to speak. Look, in your book, Selling in a Post-Trust World, which, by the way, has former Rounding the Bases guest Mark Hunter right up on top saying, unlock the secret to building trust. You're on the inside. You signed it to me, by the way. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
And the branding, by the way, is so good too. I mean, for those that are watching, all the red writing and all the materials, all the promotional materials and the information are red, and you got your red Sharpie going. So it's very good for a Dodgers fan, by the way. Very strange to be in red, not blue. But But you signed it to me, Joel. Trust begets trust. It's so simple, yet so complicated for so many.
Yeah, often, right, the most simplest things are the hardest things to do on a consistent basis with discipline. And, in this world, and, I refer to it as this post-trust world. People are looking for it. They're craving it, right?
Mhm.
The radars are up all-time high.
Yeah.
People's BS meters are at an all-time high. There's rampant skepticism everywhere. People are walking into conversations with low levels of trust rather than saying, you know what, I can't wait to have a trust-based conversation.
Yeah.
They're walking into this already. Now, if you're in sales, you're in business, perception's reality. We got to become cognizant of this, knowing that we're walking into the conversation already behind the eight ball. We have to be able to bring this to the forefront immediately, remove all of the baggage, all the things that are going on in somebody's head. We got to quickly diffuse.
All right, I want to go back in time here a little bit as a California kid, I believe, right? And coming out of college in fill in the blank year, don't need to know that. If I'm looking at some of the bio correctly, a bachelor's in health science and marketing, and you ended up going on to selling copiers and eventually becoming a best-selling author and podcast host. Fill in the blanks. Where did it start and how did you get here?
Oh man. So I will tell you this. I have no problem telling everyone I'm 60 years old.
Yeah, I got no problem sharing mine either.
Yeah.
It's oftentimes, but not across the board. You certainly never ask a woman how old she is, but you know what? Some men get really weird about it too, and some women can care less. So it's not across the board. I'm 53, whatever. To me, at this point, Larry, it feels like we're all in about the same boat.
100%.
Something changed along the way there. I don't give a crap about that. But anyway, okay, 60 now. I feel like you figured out so many of the secrets to life, and you're sharing those with people. You're sharing them with my audience right now. Where did it start, and how did you get here?
Oh, well, thanks for asking. I've always said this: with age comes wisdom, and
Yeah, totally.
I had to learn this the hard way. So, right, taking everyone back, when I was in high school, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I will tell everybody this, right? On the numbers scale, if I think now I'm throwing my thinking cap back on, if my cumulative grade point average in high school was probably 2.1. I wasn't the smartest whip out there, but I came from a family where college meant everything. My dad's super smart, retired aeronautical engineer, rocket scientist for the United States Air Force. My mom, she's highly relational and just, she had jobs, admin jobs after we were old enough where she could go back to work. Point behind all of this was I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I kind of fell into sales. I fell into sales because I was people oriented. I was relationship oriented. And to give everyone some time frame and context on this, in the late 80s, there was no degree in sales. You couldn't go to a 4-year university and say, I want to get a degree in sales. So I had to figure out, well, what's the next best thing? Well, you get a Bachelor of Science in marketing, which is the closest thing. And after working in a pharmacy in high school, I go, you know what? I think I could be a pharmacist and maybe parlay all of this together. I couldn't pass chemistry. I go, what's the next best thing? Become a pharmaceutical rep. Thus the kind of the double major, health science and marketing. Soon realized I was graduating and I had no experience other than I was book smart. So my dad said, you got to figure this thing out. You got to figure out what you're going to do with yourself. So what I do, I open up the yellow pages as is urging. So now to give you another context, I'm really old, the yellow pages, but I found the largest ad. The largest ad was to sell copiers. And that's how this whole thing really started, is I just leveraged what I knew growing up, which was I had a plan, I had some kind of process that was ingrained in me to practice. And I grew up highly relational and I wove that all into sales. And I learned really quick that if I was going to succeed in sales, it wasn't about the product. It was about how well I built relationships. And again, I wasn't the smartest guy out there. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I learned the people and relationship side of this so well that that's what carried me through multiple decades and multiple decades to doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and I mean, you're obviously very successful in the sales world, and I'm guessing, not guessing, I know this, I don't need to guess on this, that we could have filled in the blank, and it could have been copiers as it was. It could have been medical equipment. It could have been, I don't know. I'm just thinking of like something, bowling balls. I don't know. There's probably not as much business in that, but the point is that it could have been anything. You didn't have to be the foremost expert on copiers. You knew what you needed to know. When you say you didn't know anything about copier, of course you knew everything you needed to know that would help them. But could you fix them? No more than I could hit a curveball or a fastball for that matter. But I could talk about it every single day. That's a skill, sure. But more importantly, I could talk about it because guys share information with me. Why do they share information with me? Not because they have to, because I build the relationships and the trust. The more they share with me, the more I'm able to build trust back with my audience. It's a never-ending circle, right? So I think you could have sold anything. It was copiers. You made I believe, a really nice life for yourself and your families. But it's different now, right? Now you are selling Larry Levine. Now you are selling the ability to help others, the ability to teach, the wisdom that you spoke about. And I'm curious when that light bulb went off for you, that, wait a minute, I've got more to offer than just the product.
It happened 10 years ago. So, I believe things happen in your life for certain reasons. And at 50 years old, which is just 10 years ago, I'm at a crossroads in my life. After going, you know what? Maybe the copier channel is not for me anymore. I had to figure out what to do. I made one phone call, and I'm a massive believer in this. Your inner circle of friends can lift you up to greater heights in times of darkness. And that's what happened to me. I made I call it my lifeline call. And that happened to be to Daryl Amy, who's now my business partner and my podcast partner at Selling from the Heart. And I said, Daryl, here's what's happened. Here's my situation. Do you know somebody who's looking for somebody who knows somebody? And basically I was just tapping his network. And after a 2.5-hour conversation, he says, you know something? You're not going back into sales. You need to go out and coach and train salespeople and leaders on what you did in a highly commoditized, very laggard sales channel selling copiers. You need to bring to the forefront what you did, how you built your business, and how you stood out in a very crowded marketplace. I will tell everybody here, 10 years ago, I had no podcast. I didn't write a book. I had no idea how to publicly speak. But I doubled down on myself, and somebody saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I go, what do I have to lose? And I became a master at just learning about me. And I'll tell you this, I learned more about myself in the last 10 years than my 20s, 30s, and 40s combined.
That's so good.
And so the reason, and thank you for allowing me to share this, is the reason why I bring this to the forefront is I just believe success happens when I contribute to a greater cause. And that greater cause is elevating the sales profession and giving back. I just want to give back what I've learned in multiple decades and give this back to sales leaders and salespeople, whether you're tenured, well off in your career, where you're just up and coming. I do know this, we can all become better at the craft of sales. We just get to get out of our own way. It's lining our head and our heart. And I'm bringing stuff to the forefront I'm deeply passionate about, because soft skills, the things that I write about, they drive hard dollars. They really do drive hard dollars. We just got to get out of our own way.
How do the wins compare now versus then? Wins are great, right? You land a deal, you sell a big piece of equipment. That's what you lived for in your previous life. That put food on the table. That was a big win. The wins, I think, are measured differently now. I know they are, because I could tell just by the way you're talking about it. And the wins may look and show up differently than they did before. How do they show up differently? And how does that feeling compare to before? Where I think before it was, You got to sell X amount of machines. You got to do this. You got to close that. Now you're selling yourself. You're selling your brand. You're selling your message. You're selling the ability to help others. How do they compare?
Oh, this is so good. I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying. And if I would, I'll tell you what, I'll go back decades. If I answered what you just asked me, I'd say I would attach my significance to money, cashing commission checks, things like that, because I had a family to support. I totally understand. And that's where my mindset was at that time. Well, guess what? It's totally different. I don't attach my significance to cash and commission checks and all that. I attach my significance to contributing to the lives of others. It's helped me become a lot more fulfilled in my life. But guess what? The money follows.
Right.
The money does follow. And I mean, we all want to make money, right? We all do. Money just affords the lifestyles, however you want to define lifestyle. But I've just figured out, what do at this stage of my life, what do I attach my significance to? And I'll tell everyone this: I'm a true practitioner. I practice what I preach. It's deeply ingrained in who I am. And with clarity, confidence, and conviction, I can look somebody in the eye and say, this will make a tremendous amount of difference in your life if you open up the cupboard, so to speak, which is the inner part of who you are. You're willing to do that, you'll have monumental levels of greater success outwardly.
Do the work inside on yourself first. Nobody ever taught that in school and in whatever profession that we went into. They didn't teach it in journalism school either. And so that is some of the wisdom. It is funny how a lot of this, for some of us, starts to come in the 50s. And that doesn't mean that it can't come in the 30s or the 40s, but oftentimes we're out chasing what we think we're supposed to be chasing. And if we're lucky enough, we start to figure this out in a much more meaningful way. The point being that you can be happy, work on yourself, and make money. You can have your cake and eat it too. We just thought that you had to eat the cake before, and we were doing whatever it took. Sacrifice your soul, do whatever you had to do, work 1,000 hours a week, whatever it was, and then you start to realize, wait a minute, there are better ways to do this. What's the alignment? How does it all fit together? Where's the congruence? And so I think you found that sweet spot, to use a baseball term, which is such a great place in life to be. I want to talk about some of the services and the books a little bit more in my final questions, but let's go to my baseball themed question. Not about your Dodgers, but it could be, I suppose, but no, it's really not. It's about life and really about business, about professional. So professionally speaking, you're 60 years old. What's the biggest home run that you've hit?
Figuring out who I was the last 10 years, truly, personally, and professionally. And I thought I had that figured out. I really thought I had that figured out, but you know what? So be it. I didn't. Biggest home run was the last 10 years. I've learned more about myself, like I shared, than in previous decades. Biggest home run by far. It's made me a better man. It's made me a better husband. It's made me a better business person. But I truly get to know who I am. This entrepreneurial journey I've been on the last 10 years has been my biggest home run of my life, outside of marrying my wife.
Of course. That's why I said professionally, because it allows all of my guests to, what really happened was that when I asked that question, when I started this podcast years ago, every single person said marrying their wife or their husband. And I didn't want to diminish that, of course, but I wanted some variety. So,
Sure.
But I'll allow for the joint home run there, because we also know that if we're lucky enough to have that significant other, that is the ultimate home run. How about a swing and a miss, which hopefully has nothing to do with marriage, but swing and a miss along the way, and what did you learn from it?
Oh man, the swings and misses, I'm going to say it's the last 10 years as well, as going on this entrepreneurial journey is, through all the goodness that I've had to overcome some setbacks and some failures. And I think the swings and the misses is what's helped me become even better. It's helped me become a better human, a better business person, a better communicator. Is all these swings and misses that I've had, all these strikeouts, to use the baseball analogies, the foul balls, right, and so forth, have all helped me become better, because for me, feedback, failure, they're all breakfast of champions.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. And you'll continue to swing and miss, by the way, as well.
Of course, 100%.
I've had, I'll have some guests come on and say, I can't really think of anything. And maybe I'm not phrasing the question right, because we all have swings and misses, and maybe they're thinking of one giant failure. And it's not. A lot of them are just a little small incremental. You and I are both baseball fans. I obviously live in that world, but what does a guy learn from at bat to at bat? You struck out this time. What did you learn from it? What can you do next time? That was a swing and a miss, literally and figuratively. They don't have to all be giant misses, but can you learn from them? And that's the point of the second half of that question. Okay, the final baseball themed question is small ball, which is really the way you live your life. I believe it's the way that you sell. What is small ball? What are the little things that add up to big results for you?
Oh, I love this. I'm a big fan. Is you can't do the big things correctly if you can't do the small things correctly with consistency and with discipline. So, right, I'll throw a baseball analogy at you. When the Anaheim Angels won the World Series, when Mike Scioscia was the manager, they learned how to play small ball.
Mm-hmm.
They advanced a runner base by base. Yeah, occasionally they had a home run or a grand slam. But if I relate this to sales, it's the small, consistent actions. Just small, consistent, daily disciplined actions. I'm a simple guy. I just look for simple things to do every single day. And I know if I can do those, I will. Now, this is going to sound funny because this is bad English, but the only way I can deliver this is I'm going to out consistency somebody. I'm going to out discipline somebody because it's deeply ingrained in my DNA. I know this. If I do small, simple, actionable steps that I can hold myself accountable to, I know I'll move the needle. Something as simple as this. And I'll share, this is how I held myself accountable in sales. Still to this day, the same thing. It's playing small ball. One new connection a day, one new conversation a day. I got to move the needle somewhere on something I'm doing every single day. And I got to set up a new appointment every single day, somewhere on my calendar in a 2-week period. And I knew if I do these simple things and I hold myself accountable to do it, that small ball, it's going to move the needle radically. Yeah. And occasionally, I'm going to hit a grand slam and hit one out of the park. Yeah. But that's playing small ball with sales.
Yeah. You're speaking my language. I love it all. And the formula is different, by the way, for everyone, but I think it's the repeatable habits. It's creating those habits and making them repeatable that end up leading to everything that you're saying. All right, 4 final questions as we round the bases. 2 books, Selling from the Heart and Selling in a Post-Trust World. Tell me about these books, because first and foremost, they're putting a lot of good out into the world. So that's a key piece. But they're also connection tools for you. They are marketing tools for you. They are branding tools for you. A lot of times I'll have people say to me, how's your book doing? And the honest answer right now is I don't know. I knew the first few months because I was a little bit addicted to the numbers, the dopamine hits that came with it. Course. But I never wrote them to make money. Would I like to make money? Yes. Have I made money? Yes. But they were meant to be so much more than that. How about for you with these 2 books?
I'll say amen to what you just said. When I'll just throw this out there. The podcast came before the book. But when I was writing Selling from the Heart as my first journey down writing a book, I had no clue what I was doing. I'm the first one to admit, I just wanted to write a book that would pack a punch, that when somebody read it, it was like I was sitting down reading it next to them. I'm a very conversational writer, highly relational. I didn't know if 5 books would sell, 50 books would sell. In the very beginning, I got caught up in how many books was I'm selling. Now I really don't care. It's just I want someone to read my book and go, wow, that transformed the way I think about myself and my approach to sales. Yeah. And, writing Selling from the Heart was just, if somebody reads that or they choose to read it, it's going to take them on a journey of really getting to know who they are. Because when I was writing the book, I was writing it through the lens of me getting to know who I was my whole entire career in sales. That was selling from the heart.
Yeah. I agree with so much of it. And I feel the same way too about the podcast. Like I want the greatest podcast. Where does it rank? What numbers do I get? If they matter, then I'll pay more attention to it. But if I get a chance to connect with a guy like you, I'm not blowing smoke here. I hope you don't, but if I get a chance to connect with a guy like you, and all that comes of this podcast is that you and I have a deeper connection. Great. Let's see where that leads us. But then beyond that, you said things today. I know you did, because I'm writing down time codes when I hear really interesting quotes that are going to help people, right? I'm going to put that out there. That helps you. So, I mean, you never know what it is, but getting back to the authenticity and just doing it. Like I tell people all the time that not everybody needs a podcast. Not everybody needs to write a book, but everybody could. Everybody could. And everybody should, by the way. They won't. And a lot of times it's because they want everything to be perfect. That's a whole nother discussion. Just go do it. Just go do it and see where it leads to you. Second question, we'll relate it on the more recent book, Selling in a Post-Trust World. What does the post-trust world look like?
Oh boy. So this was interesting. I'm going to give some context around the book and why. I had a cold glass of water delivered to me, where I actually, not like figuratively somebody chucking a cold glass of water, but I had two people near and dear to me, basically about 4 years ago, say, you know something, guys, and I'll include Daryl in this one. They go, when you can figure out what to do with all your great selling from the heart assets, watch what happens to your business. You'll gain a lot more confidence. And I'm sharing this with you. I'm a very transparent person. I almost started to cry, literally, Joel. I almost started to cry going, damn, I've been working my backside off. And here somebody's telling me, when you figure out what to do with all of this, watch what happens. I got asked one simple question. This is the premise behind Selling in a Post-Trust World. I got asked, if somebody reads Selling from the Heart, if an executive reads Selling from the Heart, a sales leader reads this, what's it going to help them do in their salespeople? I said, build trust and credibility, upon which I was guided to, with this cold glass of water, then figure out how to help them build trust and credibility. I went to a whiteboard with Daryl. We started figuring out, hey, you know what? Let's just write down what people would gain by reading Selling from the Heart and wireframe this out. I had no clue at the time it was going to become my second book, Selling in a Post-Trust World. There's 4 pillars. Selling from the Heart's the foundation. Really, really looking inward. But if you want to build trust in what I believe is this post-trust world where everyone's swimming for it, you got to figure out how to do 4 things. You got to figure out how to do it really fast and very well. It's build authentic relationships, bring meaningful value, not just value, meaningful value. You got to bring an inspirational experience like none other. You got to breathe life into people. You got to inspire and influence these people. And lastly, you got to do it with discipline. This has to become habitual. And if you can do those 4 things and you double down on those 4 things, watch how fast you build trust. Watch how fast you grow yourself personally and professionally. It's all about, I've said this, is if somebody chooses to read Selling from the Heart, that's foundational. If somebody decides to read Selling in a Post-Trust World, that becomes transformational.
Love it. Love every bit of it. There's just so much there. And by the way, one of the reasons why I love it so much is it's across the board. It can help anybody in any profession. That this is not a salesman, saleswoman, broadcaster. Again, take the copy machines, replace it with anything else. It applies to every single one of us.
Hey, would you allow me to drill in on something you just said?
Yeah, of course.
Because you just nailed something, and kudos to you for this. Is just because it's selling in a post-trust world doesn't mean that, hey, I'm not in sales, so I don't have to read it. There's a point behind the 4 pillars of building trust. I'm going to break this down really quick if you allow me to, because I think you can take this out into you could be a banker, you could be a broadcaster, you can be a journalist, you could be a school teacher. It doesn't matter. You could be retired and still implement this. Everybody needs to build authentic relationships. What do you really know about your inner circle? What do you really know about the people that you call friends? Now, if we take this to the next level, are you bringing any kind of value to your friendships personally? Are you making these people better? Are you making them smarter? Are you bringing something to the table? What kind of an experience are you bringing to your friends in your personal life? Are you inspiring these people? Are you helping them to see things they don't think they can do on their own? And do they really believe that? And are you bringing all of this to the forefront personally with discipline? This will transform personal relationships. You just got to take the mindset out. Well, I'm not going to read it because it's a sales book. May have a sales title. Insert in whatever you all do. Apply the foundation to it. And you'll get the same. You'll get the results.
It is a people book, is what it is.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, we're all selling every day. You don't have to be in the sales industry. That's the point to this. And so, if you are in a work environment of any type, you may not be selling a product, but you are selling something, a belief, trust, connectivity. You got that coworker and you don't quite mesh together. It's amazing what'll happen and how much more productive you can be when you build that trust. So you
100%.
you need to sell that authenticity. I know that sounds a little bit weird, selling authenticity, but you can sell authenticity in an authentic way. It doesn't need to be slimy or anything like that. So it's part of, I said it before, like I'm not selling a product. I mean, my speaking and the books and all that stuff, sure. I'm not selling a product when I'm at the ballpark, but I am selling something, and the relationships are what make that go. Third question as we round the bases, tell me about the podcast. I know about it, but I want to be able to promote it a little bit on your end as well. You've had a lot of great guests. Tell me about the podcast.
Oh, it was all, I mean, if it wasn't for the podcast, Selling from the Heart really doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it was just my way, along with Daryl's, to shine the light on the sales world that we all love. And, we could have called it whatever podcast. I mean, insert title of what we thought about 9 years ago when we started this. But we wanted to create something different. We wanted to we just wanted to create something that would go, yes, I believe in that. And selling, like you said in the very beginnings, it's difficult, right? I always say it's a full contact sport. But selling from the heart is shining the light on authenticity, being real, being genuine. We call it giving a rip at selling from the heart. But it's just where we bring in really cool guests. It's couch moments for us. We've learned a lot. But we're bringing in thought leaders, and we just want to know, A, what makes them tick? What's selling from the heart mean? And we just get into a great conversation around trust, around authenticity, around the things that we believe, and I know you as well, Joel, that needs to be deeply ingrained in the sales world today. That's selling from the heart. It's just right. Last chapter of the book's all about not being an empty suit. We just shine the light on all the empty suits that are out there saying we can all do better.
Always. We can always do better. No doubt about it. Okay, final question. My walk-off. Is there anything, you've got so many services, and I certainly want to encourage everyone just to check out the website, sellingfromtheheart.net. I got that right, Larry?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so there's a lot going on. What else do you want to do? What's on the bucket list that you haven't done? Because you're already serving a lot of people.
Oh, wow. The bucket list is ever evolving, but it's interesting. That's a good question. It's hard for me, and I'll just full transparency. It's hard for me to look out in the horizon and say, you know what, I'm going to add this into the bucket list 1, 2, 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why is this is I get too much. I get caught up in the past. So I dwell in the past, which prevents me from really like leapfrogging into the future because I'm so hard on myself. It's hard for me to create this visionary bucket list. I'm being totally transparent and honest with you, Joel. It's hard for me to say, hey, here's my bucket list of things to do, because I have a hard time thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, the next week, next year, and all that. But I'm having the time of my life at 60 years old doing what I'm doing right now. So I'm still learning how to be more present in the moment as opposed to figuring out what I want to chuck in my bucket list.
Fair enough. So then I'll wrap it up with this. Not that was bad. That's a good enough walk-off. But I did have one other that I wanted to ask you about, because on my sheet here it said that something like let me just read exactly from my list here. I think I lost it, but it said something along the lines of that you are a self-proclaimed wine snob or something along those lines.
Sorry, Joel, and sorry, listeners. I have to admit, I'm a California wine snob.
No, that's okay. So like what's the goat? This is a loaded question because there are a million categories here, but what's a perfect night? Bottle of wine from where? What? You know?
A perfect night is hanging out with my wife, drinking a bottle of Chalk Hill Chardonnay,
There we go.
and binge watching just Netflix.
Okay, that's a great night. That's a great night.
It's gotta be Chalk Hill Chardonnay. It's gotta be Chalk Hill Chardonnay.
I need to add that to my list now.
Yes, you do.
This is great. This is a lot of fun. Now we got a wine suggestion as well. Sellingfromtheheart.net. Check out the podcast as well. The books. If you go to the website, you'll see it all. Larry, so grateful for Damon for connecting us, for your energy, your insight, for your authenticity. Looking forward to many more conversations.
That was my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.